in my cipher, I revolve around scientists.
When the scientists, they had this particle accelerator, right? It basically tries to recreate
the Big Bang.
Right? So they did it once, and then they did it again while observing it, like directly through whatever lenses or whatever they had to observe it, and the atoms moved like differently, like because they knew they were being watched.
Oh, okay, no, I know what you're talking about, yo.
So
the wave particle theory.
Yeah. So that's incredible because that redefines the entire meaning of life itself. You know what I mean? Or people's understanding of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you could really embrace that concept, because if those atoms knew that they were being observed, right? if they were conscious enough to acknowledge that there was other conscious life forms analyzing it, then you could say, all right, yeah, the atom itself is conscious, but what I think it is really that you know all life in the universe, or whatever, how many universes there are, is connected, and we all come from the same particles. You know, we all come from the same place. So there's like it's a
oneness. There's like a oneness.
Yeah, it's like a oneness, like a telepathic, like a human, conscious Wi-Fi between the atom and the human brain that's observing the particles. You know. That's how I see it. So that just means everything's connected, everything's intertwined, everything affects everything. You know what I mean? Like, because if there's atoms in you and there's atoms, you know,
in the air,
everything in the air.
The air is a loose assortment of particles, atoms, dust and shit.
Yeah, so what's to say we're not affecting that at every second?
We are though.
Yeah.
We are, and that's the sick part, you know. The body produces like an electromagnetic field and shit around it and shit, you know what I mean? Like the body produces like a field around it. That's why when someone comes around you, they're like, you can feel their energy, you know. Like if we're all happy and chilling, and then someone came into the room and their mom just died, you know, and they came, we'd be like, oh shit, like, yo, what's going on? We feel something, like, you know. But yo, the funny thing you said that, like why that is so sick, the shit with the energy or whatever, is because, take it in. The way I see that, see you're talking about the atoms and how the knowledge, like that to have some type of whatever. Take it in. Everything is information. Why? Because everything is in formation. In formation. You know what I mean? Because what is formation? Formation is formed to have structure, right? And what is information? Information is us being aware of like that which is around us, energy, data, information, you know what I mean? So it's like, when you break that down, right? Like even to do the knowledge to like an atom, right? An atom is what they say the smallest element, which is like the smallest element of matter that we can basically do knowledge to. So it's basically like the smallest piece of information, energy that is what? Information. You know what I mean? So it's like energy in formation is matter. And everything is information that we can do the knowledge to, because what? Everything that we're seeing is existing on the physical plane. You know what I mean? So that's the ill thing about what you're saying, how it's like even with the atom of like I say, like a hydrogen, it's like it has to have enough. It basically it assembles and forms into that pattern of energy, and it's in that formation, right? And dealing with the fact that it's in that formation, that's now a piece of knowledge. It's information that we could do the knowledge to, because it's in that formation. And for it to stay in that formation, it has to have that fundamental not to say a spooky level of consciousness like me, you, or like, you know what I mean, like thinking like me or you, but it's not that type of spooky level of consciousness like it's thinking, but it has to have that awareness of itself to stay, you know what I mean, in that formation, you know what I mean, not like a spooky level of awareness, but like there. So it's like, that's why it stays in that particular formation, you know what I mean. And now it's like when it comes into contact with something that, let's say like the oxygen or whatever, under certain circumstances, they're gonna interact and exchange energy, you know what I mean, information, you know. But yeah, yo, it's ill. That's the way I look at it. It's like everything is information, and everything is in formation. I was gonna say, take it in. You see when someone says like, yo, yeah, this guy's dumb as a rock, right? It's the same thing what we were saying, like, you know, because it's like the rock has a very low level of intelligence. It literally, you know, you're laughing, but it's real. Like the rock literally only has a level of intelligence to hold itself together as a rock. Not saying it's doing this with the consciousness of like a human, but literally the atoms, that atomic arrangement is only stable enough to hold itself together as a rock. You see what I'm saying? Now, the more complex you arrange atoms, the more awareness is going to be gained. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it like this, it's like what consciousness is like awareness, right? So it's like you being informed. You know what I mean? So because we have the most supreme level of consciousness, because we have the most nerve cells, and dealing with the science of nerves, you know, our nervous system, you know what I mean, up into our brain. Then we have our spinal cord that protects our nerves that go out all throughout our body, you know what I mean. And what the nerves do is they pick up on energy and then convert that to electrical signals, send that to the brain, so that we can, in our third eye, the mind, we can do the knowledge to that. You know what I'm saying? So when you break that down, it's like we're just taking in all this information, processing it. We have a high level of processing because we have all these nerve cells that are interconnected. It's like we're taking in bare energy and bare different things, and it's making us more aware than, because something that has less connections and nervous cells is not going to be able to process as much information. Therefore, they don't have that higher level of awareness. So therefore, when you break down like I say a dog, and you break down the brain of a dog, you're not going to find as much nervous connections within its brain. That's why its level of intelligence is lower. And then when you break it down to a rock, it's like a composition. It's not even it's not even it's not even complex enough to like have a respiratory system or whatever. It's a very basic fucking inanimate, like, you know, it's dumb as a rock. Like you can't even fucking process nothing, like, you know. Not even like dumb as a plant, like, you know, because like a plant can still take in sunlight, like, you know, because plants are alive, like, you know, they're just not as alive as a human being, but they're very much alive. You know what I mean? If you think about it, it's like plants are like, and trees and shit. If you're to look at it like a tree, like a big ass tree and it's growing and shit or whatever, you know what I mean? And then like you look under, if you were to take a side, like a cut section, what do you call it, midsection, cross section? Yeah, the cross section of it. And then you see like the soil, like, you know what I mean? And then like, here's a tree growing and shit, right? If you look underneath and you see the roots growing, it's almost like a symmetrical structure from top to bottom. When you break it down and you take it in, that's like it's like a symmetrical structure. You have the roots going out and they're pushing out throughout the dirt, seeking water. You know what I mean? And at the same time, you have the plants that are in the, and no the leaves that are growing out of the branches, and then when you break down
For sunlight.
and when you break it down, right? When the leaves are growing, they're not just growing randomly. They grow in a way where they can maximize the amount of sunlight that they're taking in. So it's like as they're growing out, the pattern that they're growing out is so that they can maximize their surface, the amount of surface area on the leaves that are gonna touch the sunlight. Because you have to, when you do the knowledge to the leaves have to take in the sunlight, and then, you know what I mean, photosynthesis. So the most surface area allows the most light, which is gonna give energy to the room. So it's like that's a level of consciousness. That's awareness. That's not random. It's not the level of awareness of man. You know what I mean? Because it's not like trees can just, you know what I mean, say, yo, we're going to war with man, and like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? They can't think on that level, you know what I'm saying? But that's awareness right there, to do all of that at the same time. You know, they have roots and shit that can even bust through concrete and shit, plants it. So they're moving with a particular force, you know what I mean?
Have you seen the movie Avatar?
The Avatar? Yeah, I have seen it.
What do you think about that movie and that, like the concept behind it?
Yo, isn't it just the dude in the blue? He just like he's in the blue body with the Avatar people, and then he just wants to stay with the Avatar shorty at the end.
How they have a conscious connection with the
how they have the conscious connection with the tree on the planet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, yo, that's like, we do have a conscious connection. Not like to say on some spooky shit like, yo, tree, yo, what you saying, homie? You didn't adapt with the tree when you're walking by, and the tree's gonna say what up. Not like that. But we have a biological, very real connection to the tree. It's real. You know what I mean? That movie is just showing it to you in a like cinematic way or whatever, you know. And if you look at that like an allegory, it's real, because the real life science is we are connected with the trees. You have to think about it. We're in like, on the planet, it's like almost just like a sphere, right? So we live in the biosphere. You know what I mean? All life exists within the biosphere. They teach you this in elementary school, the basics, you know, the ecosystem. Everything in the ecosystem works together, you know what I mean? So it's like the trees, you know what I mean? We breathe out carbon dioxide, you know, we breathe in the oxygen, and then the trees, you know what I mean, let out the oxygen, and you know what I mean? So without the trees, cut off the trees, that's gonna affect the atmosphere for us to live in. So what you have is called symbiosis. You know what I mean? Organisms living together. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. It's very real. They have a word for it in science. It's symbiosis. Let me do the knowledge to that word real quick. I'm pretty sure that's the perfect word to break down what you said. Symbiosis. So symbiosis is any type of a close and long-term biological interaction between two different biological organisms, be it mutualistic, communalistic, or parasitic. So it's a close and long-term biological interaction between two different biological organisms. But yeah, yo, what the fuck were we even talking about? How do we even start talking about that shit?
I said Avatar.
Yeah, man, but you just said Avatar, we was talking about some next shit, yo.
Just how humans and nature live harmoniously. You know, how we rely on the trees and they rely on us. How we're connected to plants. You're saying plants are life.
They are alive and shit, yeah, they have a level of living, yeah, they have a level of consciousness and waking up conscious and shit.
That all stem from atoms themselves being conscious, you know?
To the very fundamental degree, but not spooky conscious.
Yeah, not like...
Yeah, conscious enough to maintain that formation, because that takes because basically it's like, that takes a level of self-awareness. So a hydrogen atom knows it's hydrogen. Not to say it knows it's hydrogen, but it's going to stay in that formation unless broken under a certain high amount of pressure and shit, you know what I'm saying? Just like how you're going to stay you, but you get put under a lot of pressure, you know what I'm saying? Whether it be mental pressure, You know what I mean? That's where you have to be strong. You know what I'm saying? If you get put under a lot of mental pressure, you change. You know what I mean? You could explode. Just like how when you have the atoms that come under a lot of pressure, they explode. You know what I mean? They can become new atoms. You can become a new person. You know what I mean? Everything is similar. You know? It's like that's the word I say, as above, so below.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Changes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Some people are like shining stars, you know what I mean? Some people are like slow gases, you know? Some people are dwarf stars. It's like they shining, but they're just not like shining like some next people. Like,